from your friend. Why is the Diabolical Podcast like a Porsche 911 930 Turbo? The Whale Tail. They both feature heavy spoilers.
This is Diabolical, a comedy podcast where four long-suffering friends dissect films' most dastardly schemes, then compete to improve them. I'm your host, Gaz, and this week's movie is 2022's reboot of a reboot of a reboot, known only by its actual title of The Batman. So, Peril Pals, ask yourselves the question, does he know? Insert new podcast intro running gag here, and let's get diabolical! Hello, and welcome to this week's pod, wherein these three fly-by-night crime fighters and I comprise the panel of peril, who will compete to see who can improve the villainous plan of the week the best to win points for our leaderboard in the show's competitive round. But first, if you could tell our lovely Peril Pals your names, and tell me which song you would sing creepily as your serial killer signature. And we're going to begin with Craig.
Oh, he's not put his super dude name on there, and you've misappropriated him as well.
Shit, fuck. Super dude, you grow more handsome as the years pass. So you're 42 times handsome by my count.
Oh,
thank you very much. I agree.
Quite a bit.
Hi everyone, Craig here, aka Super Dude, and the song that I would creepily sing to my enemy is a real classic by Tiny Tim. Things that bother you never bother me. If you haven't heard it, I'll put it in the show notes. It's already quite creepy.
Sounds creepy.
But singing it in a slow, creepy voice would be super creepy.
It's Tiny Tim from Christmas Carol.
Isn't he the one that does tiptoe through the tulips? That
yeah.
One? Oh, it's creepy. That's from Insidious, and it makes... And I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about that song played in that movie. It's horrible.
Next up, let's hear from Ben.
Hi, Ben here. And the song I would sing creepily to my enemy. Well, I had a couple in mind. One, I was thinking a classic like Ring Around the Roses, which is always creepy. Right?
Yeah.
But then a song came to mind that has freaked me out since the dawn of time. Really puts the willies up me. Ben, the two of us need look no more. We've both found what we are looking for. With a friend to call my own, I'll never be alone. And you, my friend, will see you've got a friend in me.
Do you know what that song's about?
I'm fiddling a guy called Ben, I've always thought.
No, it's about... There's a film called Willard about a guy who can control rats. He befriends the rats and it gets them to like kill his boss. And then the sequel is about a little boy who befriends one of those rats, and it's Ben. So it's about a rat who's a killer rat who's a friend with a little kid. So it's quite creepy.
Is the prequel to that Joe's Apartment with the cockroaches?
No, but that's a good shout out. Good film, that.
Is that Jerry O'Connell?
Yeah.
Is that Joe's Apartment? Yeah.
Jezza O'Connell.
Watch Sliders, everyone. Sliders is great.
That used to be amazing.
Hasn't he gone a bit mad now? He's like something like...
Who hasn't?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Adam.
Oh, hoi hoi, Peril Pals. It's Adam here, and I would sing the following song in the following style. Oh, sometimes I get a good feeling, yeah. I get a feeling that I never had before. I just want to tell you right now, I believe.
What have you done? What have you done?
Something's got a hold on me now. Oh, it must be love. Yeah, something's got a hold of me right now, child. Oh, it must be love. A word to that effect.
I don't know the song, I'm going to admit.
It's a lovely Etta James.
Ah, I know her well. Delightful lady. Mine is... I did it all for the nookie. The nookie. So you can take that cookie and stick it up your stick it up your stick it up your stick it up your. Quite profound when you stop and think about those lyrics. How does he come up with them?
Pretty good. Who's that, Kid Rock or someone?
That is Limp Bizkit.
Okay.
Powered by his red cat.
I was in the right ballpark.
Yeah.
Yeah, more or less.
Did you ever watch Creeped Out on Disney?
Creeped Out.
Yeah. No, well, not Disney, sorry. It was on Netflix. It was like a kid's kind of horror. So what would have been similar to in our day?
Goosebumps.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Anyway, the kids liked it, and some of the stories were generally quite spooky, and one of them was these kids getting taken over, kind of Invasion of the Body Snatcher style. And when they got taken over, they would sing, na, 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 na. And it was genuinely quite creepy.
You've been stealing puddings.
I hope that's shepherd's pie in my knickers.
The Batman is the latest filmic iteration of the panel's favoured superhero, coming from fresh-to-the-franchise director Matt Reeves. The development process for this one was fairly tortured, as the initial plan had Ben Affleck starring as the Dark Knight, directing the picture and co-writing the script along with Terry Rossio. Proving too hard a nut to crack for the Oscar winner, Reeves was asked to pitch his take on the character to Warner Brothers, and having suitably impressed, the money men hired him to see through his vision. Taking place in the second year of Batman's crime-fighting career, the film sees our hero as a true outcast, emotionally estranged from his father figure of Alfred, refusing to be seen in public, and having a penchant for excessive violence. Robert Pattinson's version of Bruce Wayne is sufficiently different to those who came before to make the endeavour worthwhile. For the first time on film, the character would be treated as a detective as the Batman teams with Jeffrey Wright's James Gordon to unravel the surprisingly complex scheme cooked up by main villain the Riddler, as played by weirdo extraordinaire Paul Dano. Gotham City has more in common with the animated series than previous live-action attempts, with its enclosed, vertiginous architecture inducing a claustrophobic effect on viewers and characters alike. Taking a good amount of inspiration from Jeff Loeb's seminal graphic novel titled Hush, Riddler wages a vendetta against Gotham's most powerful figures, the mayor, the police commissioner, a district attorney and others, and utilising his 500 Instagram incel followers to enact his scheme of exposing the lies that run through the city's veins. Released to general acclaim at the end of the COVID-19 global pandemic, The Batman managed a tremendous box office count of $772 million worldwide and has a sequel scheduled for release in 2026, perhaps featuring a returning Riddler, Colin Farrell's humorous and charismatic Penguin, and perhaps a larger role for Barry Keoghan's interpretation of the Joker. It's a long old film, running at just about 3 hours, but the plot and world building makes it pass by quickly. And it also bears mentioning that Michael Giacchino's score is an all-timer, with instantly memorable themes for the Bat and Zoe Kravitz's wounded, driven Catwoman. But riddle me this, what did the panel make of it all? And let's begin with our first-time watcher, Ben.
Well, you know, I've been tired of superhero movies since 2008. So imagine my surprise when I actually found myself enjoying this one.
Holy shit.
It's a great mystery, crime thriller. Obviously very heavily influenced by Seven. I mean, Seven was all over it.
Yeah.
But still a strong film in its own right. As you mentioned, the world building is exceptional in this one. And, you know, I know they have a lot to work with all the lore in the background, but still they have to execute on film. And I think this film does that really well. Strong performances throughout. I've never liked Robert Pattinson before, but his interplay with Jeffrey Wright really makes this film, I think. I really like Colin Farrell as a Penguin too. I didn't care much for Gollum trying to be a hard nut. And the Riddler getting himself caught before unveiling a larger plot twist felt a little bit scene for scene The Dark Knight. But apart from that, I thought it was a really good film and the 3 hours flew by. So overall, I give it a I give it na. The best superhero film since Dark Knight.
Ooh.
What's that of?
And that's out of 7
Oh.
because Nana means 7 in Japanese.
Ah, okay.
Very good. who's up next? Let's hear from Adamski.
You and I have already spoke about this film, and what a huge, pleasant surprise it was to watch it. My expectations couldn't have been lower just because of the Nolan franchise. You know, what are they going to do? And I think it goes back to his like detective roots, doesn't he? As like trying to slowly figure stuff out without the razzmatazz of some of the other Batman films we've seen. It makes you, because your expectations are low, or mine were anyway, it had me grounded, and it just felt straight away from when I started enjoying it, it felt like a completely breakaway series from any of the other franchises. It was great.
Yeah.
But when it does want to put on typical Batman stuff, the Bruce Wayne money and stuff, it does, and it really turns it on. But because those scenes are few and far between, it's a stronger film because of it. All the casting is really, really good. Like Ben said, strong performances throughout. I think we've got a more human protagonist in Bruce Wayne and Batman because he shows frustration and remorse and contrition. And then when he falls from cutting that wire into the water, and like it's like a baptism, and he comes out of the water, and he's this new character again, and he's got this different determination because he's made these mistakes. And what Matt Reeves and Peter Craig did with the screenplay, considering Affleck dumped it and then they basically picked up and salvaged this film. It's brilliant. It's one of my favourite films I've watched for the last few years, for sure, and certainly the most surprising. It's a shame we're going to have to wait another 2 years for the follow-up, but I'm sure it'll be worth the wait.
Yeah.
You're going to be really old by then. You probably won't even remember it.
Well, maybe already the cracks are showing, because I've got to pick you up on one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Peter Super Dude, you called him Peter Craig?
He hasn't earned the right to wear that moniker, so...
His schemes are not evil enough.
No.
Well, we heard Super Dude there with a funny little wisecrack. So let's see
One
if
of
we
the
can crack wise any
Super
further.
Dude stingers.
Bless him.
My experience with the Batman was quite the opposite of Adam's. I was very hyped for it. I was a fan of Matt Reeves already from his work on Planet of the Apes series. I thought the trailer was exceptional with the Nirvana song. I was excited about the casting. I had seen, is it Good Time? The Safdie brothers film with Robert Pattinson.
Yeah.
So I was ready for Robert Pattinson. I knew his range. And when I saw the film, there were a lot of things that I didn't get about it. It didn't gel with me. The casting of John Turturro, who's an odd fellow. Like, he veers from projects like Barton Fink to, Transformers. And his Jesus Rolls spin-off. And I can never quite pin him down. The narration, I really wasn't sure about. In the opening, there's like a kiddie's toy ride thing outside of a shop, and I was like, okay, we're back in Burton territory here. Creepy clown imagery, gothic architecture. And I remember talking to Gaz at the time when it came out that I felt like the ending was really weird. Considering it was a 3-hour movie, it seemed to leave on a whimper instead of a bang. But freed from the burden of expectation and hype, I have grown to love this film. I really like this take. I think, as you've all said, it feels completely different to everything we've seen in Batman before. Robert Pattinson's portrayal of the character feels really fresh. It really nails kind of the feel of not just Hush, but also, Batman Year 1, Batman Year 2, The Long Halloween, which definitely takes some inspiration from that. It's great to see Batman playing detective, as you say. Like, he knows that the thumb was severed post-mortem. I actually have grown to love the narration as well. I think it really sets the mood, and you get kind of an insight into his mind, which I think you need for this particular incarnation of it. I think in your description, Gaz, vertiginous was a great way to describe Gotham City. I hate the cliche of talking about location as a character, but Gotham City in this feels claustrophobic and damp and oppressive, and you can see that it would breed these kinds of characters.
Now you say that, you could probably count the number of wide shots on one hand.
Right.
Now you say that.
I think the biggest example is from inside the derelict building with the panoramic view of the city, you know, the one that's under construction, where he meets Gordon and Catwoman.
But still, that's framed, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
It's not like an open...
No.
What do you call the shot that sets the...
Establishing
shot, that's one.
But the other thing is, and it fits the theme, but it's the only time when... one of two times when you feel like you're free of that oppressive enclosed feeling because you're above the city there, and the only other time is that ending when he meets Catwoman and they're kind of outside of the city limits.
Right.
But everything in it feels, like you say, like Seven, kind of hell. It feels like hell. I love all the casting, especially Jeffrey Wright. Jeffrey Wright is king. He's my favourite Gordon by a mile, I think. I'm still not totally sold on Andy Serkis as Alfred. I think what I really want, you said it's closest to the animated series. I want an Ephraim Zimbalist Jr. Alfred, but like a live-action version. You know, like he's a mustachioed kind of prig, and you've never quite got that. Michael Gough was too sweet and darling, old man. Michael Caine, similar, but kind of rough. I think, what's the guy who wonders whether a son could marry a father if gay marriage was legal?
Jeremy Irons.
Jeremy Irons in the Justice League was closest, but he was kind of not warm enough. He was a bit too cold.
Everybody seek that clip out. YouTube that clip.
Oh yeah,
it's
mental.
Fucking amazing.
Yeah. What a dummy. But generally, this is shot up in my esteem, and the more times I watch it, the more I get from it, and the more I love it. I think because it's so long, that's kind of natural. It has a lot going on, and it nails all of it. Great having a bunch of characters like this, but not fumbling that. Because I remember Batman Returns got criticised for having Penguin and Catwoman in it, and this one adds Riddler, and yet somehow it all feels like just right, like they all get the right amount of time. And I'm looking forward to seeing the Penguin TV series, because I think that'll be a lot of fun.
Yes. Not long till that starts.
Yeah, it's soon, isn't it? Yeah.
Is it going to be like Pingu?
Exactly like
Hopefully.
Pingu. From what I've understood, in the first episode, he pisses himself and he's ashamed.
He goes, wah, wah.
Yeah, saying about the run length there as well. I would love to know what conversations the studio and Matt Reeves were having.
Yeah.
About the edit and stuff, because to leave the film this long, it's really you see quite often a lot of studio meddling, don't you? Certainly with a lot of the films we've examined.
Yeah.
This is it just bobs along really nicely, and thank goodness they left it alone.
Yeah, especially from Warner Brothers lately, they canned, shelved Batgirl.
Yeah.
So thank God someone had faith in this and let it be what it is.
Yeah. Well, as for my thoughts on this week's film, kind of similar to Craig, really. I looked back at my first Letterboxd review from when my son and I went to see it in the cinema, and I gave it 4 stars, but my comment was it's not really anything you haven't seen before, in fairness. However, having rewatched it a couple of times, I think it distinguishes itself quite far from the Nolan films. As I said in my intro, the Gotham City is like a beast in this film, but a realistic beast, not the Tim Burton fanciful beast. Yeah. There's a shot in particular that I find incredibly striking near the start, where Bruce is coming home from his night patrol on his bike, and I suppose it's the equivalent of Times Square with all the TV screens on the skyscrapers, and it just feels like everything's bearing down directly upon him. It's not open like the real Times Square. It's incredibly striking visually. I think it was shot in and around Liverpool,
Glasgow, wasn't
it? The city scenes.
It was Glasgow, I think.
Glasgow was Batgirl. I'm sure it was Liverpool, the Batman.
Okay.
Maybe it was a bit both. Plot wise, I think it's by far the cleverest, perhaps even the most interesting plot. Not necessarily thematically. I think The Dark Knight's the most thematically interesting Batman film we've had and possibly ever will have. But plot-wise, this is great, how it intertwines all the characters. I mean, we've said we've got Catwoman and the Penguin, plus the Riddler. You've also got Carmine Falcone. You've got mentions of Sal Maroni, who'll be coming up in the Penguin series, played by our old friend Clancy Brown.
Yes.
Yeah. And you've got a cameo by the Joker near the end, played by Terry Wogan, of course. I think it's a really great piece of work, and it as Adam said, it kind of shows Bruce at his lowest point almost. As we begin the film, he's emotionally estranged from all his closest family, I suppose, at that point. And then we see him fall before he can rise again. Not to try and recoin a term that Nolan has used. But yeah, the changing point of one of Riddler's followers declaring himself as being vengeance, which is what the Batman, that's his first line as the Batman in the film. I think that's really, really clever. And it really works as a turning point for the character. And I'm very keen to see where they go with it in the Batman Part 2. I personally would love for them to introduce Robin.
Me too.
In Part 2.
I mean, they foreshadow it a lot in this when he spends a lot of time looking sorrowfully at the kid who's the son of the mayor, who's the first victim. And if that isn't kind of foreshadowing him, you know, adopting an orphan and then completely ruining his fucking life.
by dressing him up in tight lycra.
Obviously, there are a lot of problematic things about Batman's relationship with Robin, but if it's done well, you could look at it from the point of view that he was going to try and live that lifestyle anyway, but he wasn't going to be equipped for it if he didn't have a good mentor. And from Batman's point of view, it follows his arc in this, because one of the best animated versions, I think it was the one based on Darwin Cook, where Superman asked Batman why he's got a kid in colourful tights following him around, and he said it's because he set out to scare criminals, not children. And you get moments in this, don't you, where like the guy he saves from the Joker goons at the start is scared of him, and I think he realises, actually, I know that I said that's what I wanted to be, but it's not. I want to be a hero, so that would be a good progression. And because we've never really got a proper Robin story on film before.
No, Batman Forever's story doesn't count, I'm afraid. It has its charms, but it's a late 20s, early 30-year-old orphan doesn't quite work.
No, not really.
Okay, should we move on to our favourite sequences? Then in that case, who haven't we begun with? Let's begin with Adam.
There's quite a few, but I have to say it's the introduction of the Batmobile.
Oh, God, yeah.
It's a cool.
Yeah, just because you know it's happening, but it keeps you on tenterhooks for another 15, 20 seconds or so. And you're just like, oh, come on, just show it to me. Just show it. Oh, my God.
So cool as well. I think it may be the coolest one we've had, even though like I was obsessed with the
tank.
Tim Burton Batmobile. No, I wasn't so into the tank.
No?
Not really.
Yeah, it's just great. It's a mixture of sort of low-key, but then with the business end at the back, of course,
right.
With the rocket at the back.
So it's like a mullet.
Yeah.
It, like Gotham is like a believable beast as well. You know, it has this kind of inferno in its mouth at the front when it lights up. But it, you know, that is feasibly something you could do to a car, and something he would do. I can see Bruce Wayne thinking that was a good idea.
It's great, that whole sequence, isn't it? That's my son Dylan's favourite sequence, that car chase. He absolutely loves it.
It's just spectacular, unbelievable. It sort of almost comes out of nowhere as well. You forget that the movie at that point has lulled you into this low ebb sort of thing, and then all of a sudden, vroom, and you're like, oh, fucking hell! Got all about the Batmobile. Brilliant.
Yeah, corking. Okay, let's hear Ben's favourite sequence.
I think the sequence that made the biggest impression on me was the beginning, just because I wasn't sure what to expect, and obviously I was braced for being bored for 3 hours. So the introduction of the character, that first fight with the clown posse, I just think it works really well. It introduces the world really well. You see even like the guy in the lime drop,
the onion
mask
head guy. Yeah.
Is it an onion?
Yeah.
I don't know what it's
like,
meant to be.
Yeah,
but...
something like that, isn't it?
It's like,
some sort of
it's like the
Halloween
dropper symbol, isn't it?
Right.
It just introduces the world, and then you get to the fight, which is always kind of how cartoony is this going to be, how over the top. But it's not. It's quite gritty, but not so violent that it's like you're wincing. But I think it just strikes the right tone for the film.
Yeah.
I really like how it introduces the Batman as well, just slowly walking out of the shadows. It's not a spectacular entrance, it's an atmospheric, moody entrance.
Yeah, what I really love about that is the sound. His footsteps sound ridiculously heavy, and he always feels like he has weight. That was one of Frank Miller's rules about drawing Batman, was that the character must always feel like he has weight and never, when he's jumping from rooftops, look weightless. And I think you really get that sense in this. He's always depicted as a kind of mass, a physical force. Yeah, the other thing I really love about the opening is that it shows and doesn't tell one of the things that Batman normally says about criminals, which is that they're superstitious and cowardly. And that when the bat signal is in the sky, they think that he must be out for them, whatever it is they're doing. So they're like, fuck this. That's really good because it kind of answers a lot of people's questions about how the Batman is an effective presence in the city.
Even the introduction of the bat signal is very striking. It's extreme close up, isn't it, with the rain hitting it and kind of steaming off instantly.
Right. Yeah,
there's a violence to that, isn't there? The instant steam coming off.
Yeah,
that kind of gives this inanimate object a bit more character than it's had before.
Yeah, right.
So what would be your favourite sequence, Super Dude?
Your favourite part is where Robert Pattinson takes his top off.
Yeah, no, that is great. My favourite sequence is... it also features my favourite line, and it is Batman's escape from the GCPD, aided by Lieutenant Gordon, which culminates in one of the things that I wasn't sure about the first time I watched it, which is his wingsuit escape. Obviously much more realistic than in previous incarnations where his wings just work. He has a full-on wingsuit in this. But also I wasn't sure about this, what I still think is the slightly comical Spider-Man 2-esque crash that he has at the end of it, where he hurts his back and his leg.
So that's probably the part where he looks the most weightless.
Yeah.
No, he doesn't know, does he? Because he hits the ground like a fucking lead balloon.
The bounce looks a bit light, I thought.
To me, the bounce looks brutal. Like, ow.
He rolls over about 20 times as well, doesn't he?
Yeah.
The rolls were fine. It just felt a bit light on the bounce. I don't know.
But yeah, the sequence prior to that is what I really love. It's the cop's reaction to him. How he and Gordon get themselves alone in the room, and when Gordon's like right in his face, moving his head around, but the things he's saying are like friendly, but it doesn't look like that to everyone else, so it's great.
Yeah. I love how much the cops fucking hate Batman in this.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It's a great payoff when that one cop, Martinez, gets to see him on the job when they go to the apartment together to pull up the carpet.
Sees him on the job.
Yeah. and gains that respect for him.
Yeah.
I think that's really, really earned. And it's nice to see, because we got a lot of the opposite of this in Nolan's trilogy. It's nice to see that a lot of the PD are on Gordon and Batman's side at the end of this when they arrest Carmine Falcone.
Yeah.
A lot of people would call it propaganda. Tiresome people.
For my favourite sequence, I've got a couple to choose from, as I imagine most of us did. So I'm going to plumb for the traditional Batman interrogation scene with Batman and the Riddler. Just the twists and turns it takes, the old does he know thing where you're convinced that the Riddler does actually know that Batman is Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
And Batman thinks that he knows he's Bruce Wayne as well, and he refuses to make eye contact.
Right.
And then he kind of reveals that he doesn't, and Batman's eyes just shift towards him.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay.
Yeah.
Culminating with Batman just completely turning on him, saying that he's an evil freak, and Paul Dano having an all-time freak out. No. It's so good. It's funny, but it's brilliant at the same time.
Yeah.
Great scene. It would sit quite comfortably in the Dark Knight in terms of the rising stakes that it presents.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, really good. And yeah, Paul Dano, I really hope he comes back for the next one.
Yeah.
I watched the film Prisoners quite a while after this, and this version of the Riddler is literally just his character from Prisoners. I don't know if you guys have seen that film.
Haven't seen it, but I'll have to. make a point of it.
It's a hard watch. Don't watch it if you don't want to be depressed.
Okay.
Yeah, it is a corker.
It would be an incredible misstep not to, especially if they're going to feature the Joker, not to have them together in some sense. I think you and I both said at the time that we felt like Barry Keoghan was just doing a version of Heath Ledger's Joker voice, and a lot of people have said, you don't really get a good look at him in this, but people have kind of pieced it together since and said that they don't really like his look. It's very extreme. You know, it has the bits of hair and the heavy scarring. But that, again, is something I've come to appreciate. A, that it's really different. B, that it looks like, you know, he's really done himself a lot of damage. But also, when I really watched this again a couple of times, I think his version of the Joker is obviously still completely deranged and insane, but he has this sweet edge to him. He's almost quite nice to the Riddler in a moment when he needs that. And I think his Joker is going to be like a creepy sweet guy, not like a over-the-top sadistic, like Jared Leto type.
Wait, did you see the Joker? I don't remember seeing the Joker. Was he just a silhouette?
No, there's a deleted scene where you see quite a lot of him.
Okay. See, I didn't see that. So I was like, what? Did I miss a bit? I realise now it was deleted.
I think if you Google it, you can find like pretty much an entire face shot of him at this point. I'm pretty sure I've seen that online.
Yeah.
Any other favourite moments, sequences to add? No. I'm just going to do one really quick one. And it's, again, kind of a twist on a traditional Batman trope, which is the entrance through the roof into Gotham Square Gardens, where the Riddler's incels are sniping down at the people escaping the flood and the mayor's victory party celebrations. And the roof just fucking explodes and he comes crashing through it at like the speed of light. God damn, it's so cool. It's like the Batman Forever entrance on speed. It's brilliant. Makes you want to punch the air and go, fuck yeah!
I did as well.
I guess because we haven't really mentioned her much yet, I'd say Zoe Kravitz's Catwoman, all her scenes are like pitch perfect. She's like perfect, Batman Year One version of Selina Kyle. But the sequence where they meet when she's, cat burgling and they have that brief fight where he kind of pins her down is great, and all the tension they have together is really good. I saw an interview with Pattinson and Zoe Kravitz where they were discussing that they both think that Bruce Wayne is a virgin, which is quite a funny interview.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
And Robert Pattinson's saying, he must be quite smelly as well. He does look like a smelly Bruce Wayne.
He does. He very much looks like he's wearing his dad's suit at some point.
Like a goth.
His hair's certainly quite greasy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, then let's move on to favourite lines. And we're going to commence with Super Dude.
Well, I think I've telegraphed it, but my favourite line is, hit me in the face. All of the exchange there is brilliant, but hit me in the face is funny and brilliant because their plan's great. But it's a great moment of levity there. It made me laugh a lot.
The payoff later is good too.
Yeah. Could have pulled your punch. I did.
Yeah. Then let's hear from Adam and his favourite line.
I'm scared.
Mine's just a little touching moment, and it's when Batman stops Selina from shooting her dad, and he says, "You don't have to pay with him. You've paid enough." I just thought it was quite nice, so I like that.
Yeah. Okay, let's hear Ben's favourite line.
Well, I was worried someone was going to take mine, but no one has, so that was good. Mine's a very touching moment where Batman holds up a severed thumb and says, "Thumb drive."
Yeah,
it's good though, isn't it?
It's very touching.
It is good.
The solutions to a lot of the riddles are genuinely like, when you hear them, yeah.
Of course, yeah.
I can't remember what the clue is or how they arrive at it, but URL being the solution to one of them.
Yeah.
URL
Rata.
Yeah,
that's it, yeah.
Rata Alada, that running thing where they've mistranslated it the entire fucking time.
And it's the Penguin that gives him that one, right?
Yeah.
It's really good.
Which, speaking of which, my favourite line of dialogue comes from that scene. when they show Penguin the photograph of the police commissioner in the Jigsaw-style rat helmet. And he just goes, "What are you showing me? Come on!"
Old Trev from EastEnders. And eat them more.
Right, yeah.
Oh, was that him?
Yeah.
Yes, he's packed it on a bit, hasn't he? Bloody hell.
He's in loads of stuff, isn't he?
Yeah.
Godzilla Kong, the new one.
Yeah.
And, was he in
had a good
Andor?
career.
Is that what he's in?
Yes.
Yeah, he was, wasn't he? Yeah.
Fair play.
Doing right for himself, having a bit of renaissance.
Do you think he was channeling Marlon Brando a little bit?
Can't say I noticed that he was, no.
What's this Batman doing in here? What's he doing in here?
Hey, Batman, who are you? Huh?
What are you doing? What's the coming to go?
In The Batman, the Riddler is a loner with a small online following who targets some of the most powerful members of Gotham City's high society, culminating with mob boss Carmine Falcone. But exposing a corrupt political... Cannot read today. Cannot read.
Also, you did a Nolan. You called him Falcone. His name's Carmine Falcone.
Yeah.
Falcone.
And also, it's Ra's al Ghul, not Razo.
Falcone. Falcone? Falcone. But exposing a corrupt political scheme, inadvertently spearheaded by Bruce Wayne's father Thomas, is not Riddler's endgame. He plans to bring the city to its knees, killing thousands of civilians in the process by destroying the seawall defences that protect Gotham from being largely submerged, before having his incel followers pick off survivors who he correctly guesses will seek shelter in Gotham Square Garden, coincidentally where the newly elected Mayor Bella Real is holding her victory speech. It's pretty successful all in all, although Riddler's failure to recruit the Batman to his cause is not best received by our evil schemer. But what thought the panel of all da? Let's hear Adam's opinion.
His only mistake was he's a poor judge of character, isn't he? And he misjudged Batman to his detriment, and that was it. It all fell apart. It could have been so beautiful.
Instead, it's a big pile of shit.
Yeah.
Could have been beautiful.
Yeah,
Instead,
I'm
it's
glad
a
you
big pile of shit.
mentioned Pooh again, because that might feature heavily in somebody's plot tonight.
Ooh, story of most people's lives. Let's hear Ben's thoughts.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I think up until the point where he tries to turn Batman, everything is meticulously planned. The riddles he leaves are the right level of challenge. So Batman has to work for it, but he's able to unravel the plot as the Riddler intends. It must have been many years in the making. It'd have been helpful if he had more than 500 nerdy incels, like people who could actually fight.
Yeah.
But apart from that, I think it was meticulous. So I'm giving him 11 florets of question mark shaped broccoli.
Ooh.
Lovely.
And it's green broccoli too, so...
Yeah.
Yeah,
Unless it's purple sprouting broccoli, I suppose.
Yeah, bright green.
That keeps me safe when I'm jogging at night.
And Super Dude, what did you think of that?
I think Adams hit the nail on the head. He's a poor judge of character, not only of Bruce, but also of Thomas Wayne. If he'd bothered to kind of look properly into what he felt the corruption was, I think he would have realised that Thomas Wayne wasn't the corrupt official that he assumed he was, and that might have given him a better idea of how to approach what he was doing. And, you know, his worst mistake about the Batman is thinking the Batman would ever side with a serial killer, you know, not realising that the Batman doesn't kill. Brutal as his punches are. You could cynically say that the goon he beats at the start is probably dead, or will soon die.
Yeah.
But, you know, officially he doesn't kill. So I think that's the crux of it. He just, he's a loner and he doesn't really understand people. It's similar to Ledger's Joker, isn't it? Who Christian Bale's Batman tells him, you think everyone's like you, you're alone.
Yeah, I go along with that. He's a man single-minded in his aims, his thought process, and that completely blinds him to the concept of there being good in any way, shape or form, I think. So he doesn't see the Batman for what he is. He sees the symbolism and he takes it at face value rather than what the Batman is trying to achieve. And so you have to say that's a pretty fatal flaw, regardless of what he's achieved previously, killing basically everybody on his hit list and breaching the sea walls. You're never going to truly take the city down when you have a symbol as powerful as the Batman at the centre of it. Someone who is incorruptible. And yeah, he should just killed him, shouldn't he? Really? That should have ultimately been his aim. Should have maybe tried to find out who he is, and then I'm sure that would have fueled him even further.
Yeah.
Or would have given him a different understanding of who the Batman was and maybe made him think about a different way to become allied with him.
Yeah, perhaps. Before we move on to the competitive round, we'd like to thank you for listening to our show so far. If you like what you hear each week, please subscribe, leave us a written review, and follow us on Apple Podcasts if you can. It is the best platform to help us grow, and you, Peril Pals, are an important part in that process. We don't have a marketing budget, and always get many new listeners when we do get a review, as it makes the show more visible on Apple's charts. So please do take a few minutes to write some words. If you aren't on Apple, rate us on your provider of choice, and follow us on socials at DiabolicalPod, and visit our beautiful website at www.diabolicalpod.com. We have arrived at the part of the show where the panel of Peril compete for precious Peril points on the Perilous leaderboard. Each member gets 1 vote, which will equal 1 point on the board. But do remember, you cannot vote for yourselves, you saucy babies. Our task this week is as follows. As the Riddler, successfully convince the Batman to work alongside you and expose the high society conspiracy that rots Gotham City from its very core. So, let's do this! And let's begin. Mit Ben.
Batman opens the envelope decorated with a question mark that he just retrieved from deep within the dead mayor's butt cheeks. Thank God he had his trusty bat tweezers. What's the most musical part of a turkey? He reads aloud. Holy poultry, me, he growls, punching a fist into his palm. It's the drumstick. Turkey drumsticks. The Arkham Asylum cafeteria. It's the only possible answer. In the Arkham Asylum cafeteria, lodged deep within the cook's crimson butt cheeks, Batman finds the second riddle. Why did the golfer bring an extra pair of pants? In case he got a hole in one. Holy crotch malfunction, me. He must mean Gotham City Heights Country Club. Keistered deep within the greenkeeper's grass-stained butt cheeks, Batman finds another riddle. Why did the tomato turn red? Because it saw the salad dressing, he growls. Holy vigorous vegetables, me. He must mean Green's farm on the edge of town. Stowed deep within Betty the Jersey cow's leathery butt cheeks, Batman finds the next riddle. Why did the chicken join a band? Because it had the drumsticks. Holy funky feathers, me. The music shop downtown. Lying deep within the bearded clerk's svelte butt cheeks, Batman finds the next riddle. What has green hair and sings? Elvis Parsley. Holy hollering herbs, me. To the Gotham Municipal Herb Garden. Thrust deep within the garden manager's bespectacled butt cheeks, Batman finds another riddle. Why did the math book look sad? Because it had too many piñatas. Holy nacho numbers, me. Gotham Elementary School. Stashed deep within the principal's tobacco-stained butt cheeks, Batman finds another riddle. Why did the tomato turn red? Because he couldn't find his hat. Holy costume produce me, the Gotham Theatre. Nestled deep, deep within the stagehand's wrinkled butt cheeks, Batman finds another riddle. Why don't oysters share their pearls? Because they're shellfish? Holy mollusks. Batman stops mid-sentence and walks downstage, a contemplative look etched on his face. I've been making frankly top-drawer quips all day, yet I have no one to share them with. That's right. The Riddler steps out from behind a curtain, clapping slowly. If a hero quips in a forest, does he make a sound? Batman's thumb and forefinger rest on that unmistakable jaw. I would laugh at your quips, says Riddler. Imagine it. 2 young studs cleaning up the city and laughing and cornholing. Batman nods. Fine, you win. We'll work together. Just please, no more riddles. The Riddler wraps his arms around the Dark Knight, and they both sigh contentedly.
Why was he putting the riddles in, specifically in everybody's butt cheeks? Was that part of the riddle?
He knows that Batman likes a challenge, and he knows that Batman also has a lot of equipment, such as bat tweezers. So he puts 2 and 2 together and comes up with the butt cheek maneuver.
Well, you can't fault that logic.
I gotta say, he lost me on a couple of the riddles. I didn't understand a couple of them. Why was the math book sad? Because it had too many pinatas.
It doesn't make any sense, does it? Yeah.
It's quite nonsensical. It was a bit of a tribute to What's Yellow and Wright's A Ballpoint Banana.
Right, yeah. Okay.
Were these people with the plan, the riddle stuff that are bums, dead or alive?
That's a good question. What do you think?
Alive?
The dead mayor was dead because I said he was dead, but then the rest could well have been alive.
I think the others were alive, and maybe they've been like knocked out and then woken up and gone, "Oh, my arse is sore," and then go carry on with the day. And then Martin comes along with tweezers and yanks something out.
And they just say, "Hey, what the hell?"
God, oh Jesus, what was that, Batman?
What the hell are you doing, Batman?
No, I think they have to be dead because otherwise he does have somebody to respond to his.
Yeah, they're dead.
Yeah.
They're dead.
Aww.
Sadly, they're dead.
Aww.
They're either dead or too busy to laugh at the quips.
I'm going to pretend they're alive.
Well, I think that Batman would be sad that his new sidekick had been going around killing people and putting things up their butties.
Yes, but you forget about the powerful embrace at the end.
Oh yeah,
A hug forgives all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And he won't have been hugged for some time, so
Yeah.
he'll appreciate it.
A Catholic hug to forgive all.
Yeah,
Very moving. Any more questions?
I think so.
Any more description of the butt cheeks needed?
No.
Any more riddles?
No.
Then, in that case, I think it's safe to move on and hear Super Dude's evil scheme.
When considering the question of how to successfully convince the Batman to work alongside me, the Riddler, to expose the high society conspiracy that rots Gotham City from its very core, there are various words which need to be defined. Who is the Batman? What does the Batman want? Why would he want to help me? And what weighs 6 ounces, sits in a tree, and is... What? No, forget about that one. The Batman says he is vengeance, but he doesn't like killing, so I probably shouldn't kill anyone. I guess exposing and ruining them will effectively end their lives in a sense. Besides, he's not vengeance. He's Bruce Wayne. How have I guessed this? Simple. He's the right age. He has the motive. He has the means. Few do. Also, unlike most people, Bruce Wayne lives in a mansion built on top of a bat cave. If he wanted to keep it a secret, he should have become Regular Man. And knowing this, I know that the movie he saw the night his parents were killed was The Mask of Zorro, starring Antonio Banderas. Zorro is his hero. So, when I corner my victims, instead of killing them, I tie them up really well and carve my symbol, the question mark, into their clothes. Now he senses and believes we are the same, and that what drives us is the question. And since I now realize with whom I have aligned myself, I must also have faith in him. And so I look more closely into his family legacy, and I conclude after careful consideration that actually his father wasn't corrupt as I had previously assumed in my rage. Now that I have no vendetta against his family, and he will surely side with me against Falcone, we can be best friends!
Was that Wes Anderson's Riddler?
Exactly. Paul Dano is Wes Anderson's Riddler.
The questions at the start sounded like a Wes Anderson script.
The questions at the start are... I've done this before in another plan. They're Rimmer trying to revise for his astrophysics exam.
Okay.
So he guesses... Well, he correctly deduces that Batman is Bruce Wayne.
And that leads him to look further into the conspiracy, realise that Thomas Wayne wasn't corrupt, and therefore that they should team up together, and that the way that he will appeal to him is by, instead of killing everybody, he'll still expose them, and he'll carve his symbol, the question mark, into their clothes.
In a Zorro-like manner.
Yeah, and therefore remind Batman of his hero, Zorro. And he'll think, okay, maybe this Riddler guy is a hero.
Do you reckon it's as easy to carve a question mark with a sword as a
Z?
Yeah.
As a Z.
Yeah,
I think when you've proven your barrister skills so fully as he has by carving a question mark into some dead cold foam, it's hard to do after you've poured it, I'll tell you that.
Bloody good. It was a good callback, that. And it's to your credit.
Thank you very much.
You're scoring high. Very high for that.
Any more questions for Super Dude?
I've got one. If you were judging your plan, Super Dude, what's the one question that you would ask that would pull it apart?
Let's see. I would ask, didn't The Mask of Zorro come out in 1998? And wasn't Thomas Wayne killed in 2002? Seems unlikely that The Mask of Zorro would have another theatrical run in 2002. To which I would reply, well, you're right, that is when The Mask of Zorro came out. But The Legend of Zorro was in pre-production at the time, and they brought it out for a special short theatrical run in several key locations in the United States.
Gotham City being one of them.
You've absolutely nailed it. Thank you very much. So many of my plans have been undone by Antonio Banderas films.
Right.
So,
And their crazy release dates. Why was there 7 years between the Zorro films?
Yeah.
Okay, then let's ready ourselves and hear Adam's plan.
The mayor, the police, the DA, the criminal underworld, the orphanage and Wayne Enterprises, they're all part of the same corrupt system. They destroy people's lives. Of course, there may be good people working in these institutions, people dedicated to the cause and the ideals. However, much like sweet corn in a turd, they have maintained their integrity, but are still embedded in shit. Do you pluck the corn from a turd before you flush? No, it all goes down. Then you're left with nothing to remind you of the awful thing that existed moments ago. Skid marks are quickly scrubbed away by the brush of vengeance. I explain my theory to Batman, and in such simplistic but stark terms. You can see the light bulb in his mind light up. Much like the light bulb of an oppressed, darkened toilet that might come on in a hurry when someone has the squits and must deliver their own conspiracy to the bowel of justice. As Batman gathers his thoughts and looks me in the eye, I utter the immortal words that would shape the future to come. Help me, Batman. It's time to flush Gotham's turd. We lock forearms in a way that only true bros do, nodding and smiling wryly. Batman then winces. I ask him if he's okay. He says he had a burrito for lunch and that he must dispatch judgment of his own before we take a bite out of the city's own turd sandwich, then cleanse our palates by swiftly sluicing that immoral creation down the Kazi! Then it's time to take out the fecal matter.
The sweet corn and turd analogy is wonderful.
It's good, isn't it?
How long have you been brewing that?
No, it's I can't claim credit to that quote. It's somebody who was talking about the Tories said they're all good Tories, but much like sweet corn in turds, they're still embedded in shit. Yeah. They maintain their integrity, but they're still embedded in shit.
So just to nutshell that, the whole plan is just explaining
basically saying
the situation in a nice analogy to Batman.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a big turd that has some sweet corn in it. They're good people. But those sweet corn aren't enough to keep that turd floating in your toilet forever. You must flush. You must flush.
If you flush that shit, you must have quit.
Yeah.
Even when you are doing an American accent, you still refuse to say mayor. Still say mayor.
I know, because it's not done in proper England, you see.
I couldn't give a shit about England.
Merry old England.
Hello, Mary Poppins.
Right. It's pretty persuasive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think he's on the verge, isn't he, Batman? He does question whether Gotham's beyond saving, and if it was summed up to him in such a sweet analogy, he might go.
Yeah, if he hadn't self-baptised himself, he would have been probably swung it the other way.
Yeah,
maybe.
In a way, that is him falling into the toilet bowl, isn't it?
Yeah, he flushed himself, but unfortunately, the sweet corn remained in that one.
He was the turd that wouldn't flush. He bobbed back out.
Yeah, that's what the sequel's going to be called. Batman and the Turd Who Wouldn't Flush.
In a way, I suppose in the water he washed the turd for himself and found that the corn had coalesced into one large, nutritious nugget, corn nugget, if you will.
No, nobody's interested in a large sweet corn. It don't matter how big it is.
Large sweet corn nugget. I'd buy one.
Yeah. What? Straight out of a toilet?
Well, maybe not straight from the toilet.
You remember, it was embedded in the shit to begin with.
That's true.
Yeah.
In that moment, he's the coffee berries that have been shut out by an elephant. They've been fermented in the elephant shit. And
wasn't it like a muskrat?
It's a rat, isn't it, or something like that? It's not quite as.
There might be an elephant one too. I've heard a few different versions.
Yeah. The rich people drink to pretend they're super classy,
and rich
really
people eat the garbage parts of food.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, if there's no more questions for Adam, then I'm going to bring us home. Edward Nashton, known to the world as the Riddler, was the son of John and Mary Nashton, two renowned acrobats who performed as part of a famous circus troupe. Edward admired his parents' talents and aspired to follow in their footsteps, whilst also showing a remarkable aptitude for complex puzzles and riddles even as a child. One fateful night the circus came to Gotham. The audience was packed with eager spectators, including Bruce Wayne. During the performance, tragedy struck. A nascent extortionist named Sal Maroni had been pressuring the circus owner for protection money. When his demands were not met, he sabotaged the trapeze wires. In the midst of their act, John and Mary Nashton fell to their deaths in front of a horrified crowd, including their boy Edward. Traumatised and orphaned, Edward was taken in by Bruce Wayne, who had experienced a similar tragedy in his own childhood, but only after he had spent years in the Wayne orphanage and felt the dreadful tang of true desperation. Recognising the potential in the intelligent and resourceful boy, a young Bruce offered him a home and a purpose. He saw in Edward the same drive for justice that had fueled his own transformation into Batman. Under Bruce Wayne's mentorship, Edward underwent rigorous physical and mental training. He honed his natural talent for riddles and puzzles, which became a cornerstone of his persona. Likewise, he taught Bruce how to formulate, solve and code various forms of riddle. Bruce taught him the values of justice, the importance of discipline, and the need for a moral compass. As Edward grew older and more skilled, he adopted the alias of the Riddler, not as a villain, but as Batman's partner in the fight against crime. He slowly began to inform Batman of the conspiracy betwixt the upper crust of Gotham City, without forcing the issue. Dressed in a distinctive costume that combined his love for riddles with his commitment to justice, the Riddler joined Batman in his crusade to rid Gotham of its criminal elements. Together they confronted Gotham's most dangerous villains, utilising the Riddler's intellect and knack for... Did I say Riddler?
Yeah. That would be a funny version.
Utilising the Riddler's intellect and knack for uncovering secrets. Utilising the Riddler's intellect and knack for uncovering secrets to outwit their foes, eventually exposing Falcone, the police commissioner, and the mayor's scheme to obscure the murder of a journalist for Thomas Wayne's own personal gain. Though it brings Bruce great pain, the Riddler convinces him that the truth shall set him free, and indeed it does. The partnership between Batman and the Riddler became legendary. Edward's transformation from a grieving orphan to a symbol of justice and intelligence served as an inspiration to the people of Gotham. His journey was a testament to the power of redemption and the belief that even the most troubled individuals can find a path to heroism.
I had written as a summary for Ben's plan, become Robin, basically. And, but my question to you is, aren't Bruce and Edward the same age? Doesn't
I was going to say, Bruce Wayne walks up to the kid and goes, come and live with me now. Who is he? The fat one from Goonies?
He's in the Wayne orphanage for a couple of years, and then Bruce takes pity on this one orphan in the crowded, horrible, rat-infested room, and he's like, I'll have that one, actually. That one. The rest of you can stay there. But I'm having that one in my house, please.
And Riddler's already made his mind up at that point that he's going to be...
Yeah, he started at a young age.
Yeah. I'm going to hate everybody and...
I'm going to clean the criminal element of this city right up.
He's not going to be like, oh, he's got lots of money, this fella. Oh, I'll enjoy the finer things in life.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of, they influence each other back and forth, don't they? I think that Bruce's kind of heroic impulses rub off on the Riddler, and the Riddler's riddle impulses rub off on Batman. So it's a bit of the old tit for tat.
I think he'll give Batman or give Bruce Wayne Riddle, and then Bruce Wayne will buy him a Citroen Zorro Picasso.
Ooh, nice. Who wouldn't want that?
Yeah, but exactly. He'd be smitten with it, and he would be like, riddling my way to kill loads of hoi polloi in Gotham. No thanks. I'd rather just drive around my snazzy Picasso. See you later.
Playing Mr. Wazzo.
So how come Bruce doesn't go and pick an orphan in the film universe?
Because in the film universe, of course, as we all know, because we've seen the film, which is the universe that the film takes place in.
I accuse you of playing for time.
Bruce Wayne, the young man who grows up to become Batman, the Batman of the title of the film. He goes to he's homeschooled in the film, as we all know. However, in my version of this, he goes to a private school, and as part of a BTEC course in social studies, he is required to engage in some sort of social enterprise, and therefore he chooses the orphanage that bears his family name.
Okay, that makes sense. But what I will say, based on my knowledge of people who've been to private schools,
Yeah.
is they all love wanking onto biscuits.
Wow.
And
That is relevant
Therefore-
to this. Wait and see how.
therefore, I put it to you that Bruce Wayne would only teach the Riddler biscuit ejaculation tricks and nothing more.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's possible. He's not in this film, but I suppose it's a Harvey Dent flick of the coin, isn't it? Wanking onto biscuits or saving Gotham City. You know, which way is the coin going to fall? Heads or heads?
All I need to do is inject that element of doubt into your plan, which I think I've done. So, thank you.
Damn your eyes. Okay. Well, those plans were kind of evil, were they? A little bit? Yeah, a little bit. Except for mine, of course. Mine was pretty good. Pretty lovely. Pretty nice. We had Ben's riddles stored in the old butt cheeks plan. The old classic.
That wasn't really the crux of it, but all right.
Well, that was, I would say, the most memorable part. The most reiterated part. We had Super Dude's Zorro inspired inspiration scheme. We had Adam's sweet corn embedded in shit analogy scheme. And we had the Riddler becomes Robin scheme. But there can be only 1, 2, 3, or 4 of us who get points on the board. So with that, if we could all cast our votes, that would be dynamite. I'm going to reveal first so I can keep the scores.
Oh, good.
And I voted for Mr. the Super Dude.
Ah.
Seems like it might actually work. So with that, Super Dude, who did you vote for?
Well, I've got to say that I think the idea of becoming Robin is a genius one. And it was very difficult to separate which of the two people who did that pulled it off the best. And that's one of the reasons that I ignored both of them and voted for Adman.
Come on.
Don Draper.
I thought I was really swayed by the sweet corn in a turd analogy.
It's a bloody great analogy. I wish it was mine.
And not for the first time.
I think that Bruce Wayne would be as well if presented with it. I think he's, in this film especially, he's one bad day away from believing that Gotham is beyond saving. He even vocalizes that. So I think bringing him down into the dark is possibly easier than bringing Nashton into the light.
Okay. Adam, who did you cast your vote for?
Well, I like this plan for 2 reasons. They were all excellent plans this week, actually. Very distinct plans. But there were 2 very similar reasons I like this plan. They're both pink and supple. And I've chosen Bum! And Ben even. Yeah, Ben.
Very pleased with this cheeky little plan, isn't he?
So then, Ben, who did you cast your vote for?
I thought in the delivery, the plans were all very similar. Hard for me to pick apart, really. But I think one person really performed above and beyond in the question section, and that swung it for me. Yeah. And that is Soup Dude.
Oh, my lord.
He asked the question that would pull his plan apart and then answered it. It was genius. Well done.
So, bit of movement on the leaderboard this week, as in joint first place with 5 points apiece is Super Dude and your good host Gaz.
Ooh.
And joint next place with 3 points apiece are Adam and Ben.
Ooh.
Tell you what, it's all to play for with 16 episodes left. It's all to play
Yeah,
for.
it's anybody's game at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that will do us for another batch of evil schemes, but we shall return next Monday for another boast of... Boast?
Worth of boast worlds.
But we shall return next Monday for another dose of podcasting and punctiliousness with Craig's choice of film. And if I'm not very much mistaken, he's going to reveal it right now.
That's right, Peril Pals. Very excited about my next choice of film.
Did you just call him by his real name?
Did I say Craig?
Oh, we did again, didn't we? Yeah.
Fucking hell, it's Super Dude's film. Super Dude. I've never, ever seen balls as long as yours.
That was worked on.
Like torpedoes, if I ever seen
like
them.
that.
Torpedoes, I tell you.
Is that why you also had those little metal rings that grew in sequentially in size?
That's
Your
right.
dad. Okay.
Yes, Peril Pals, that's right. It's my pick next week, and I am picking a piece of class. A cult film that should be more renowned, but, among cinephiles, well regarded. It is Michael Clayton.
Oh, Michael Clayton. I've heard tell of it.
What's the film? That's the director, right?
No.
That's the start.
The name of the film is
Michael Clayton's Batman?
Clayton. No. Not Michael Keaton. Michael Clayton.
Okay.
Join us next week as we discuss Michael Clayton's evil scheme. Whoa, that dastardly Michael Clayton.
No,
probably.
he's not. No.
Until then, remember, everything will be alright in the end, and if it isn't alright, then it isn't the end.
Underneath the bridge, top has sprung a leak, and the animals are trapped. All become my pets, and I'm living off the grass, and the drippings from the ceiling. It's okay to eat fish, 'cause they don't have any feelings. Something away. Something in the way.
Yeah.
There you go. I'll do.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Living off of ass.
How about we sing this song? She said.
Oh, that's definitely going in the cut, isn't it?